You are 3 days into a camping trip that went very wrong. Your pack is gone, your food is gone, you have water, a decent amount of body fat, and a creeping sense of dread. And right now you are lying on your back staring at the sky wondering exactly how long you have. The answer, it turns out, is longer than you think. Embarrassingly longer. Your body is not panicking right now. Your body has been quietly preparing for this exact moment for 2.5 million years. And honestly, it is kind of thriving. Ancient humans went without food all the time, not as a wellness challenge, not because some influencer told them to, but because food was not always there. And the ones who survived were the ones whose bodies figured out how to keep going anyway. That system they built is still running inside you right now. And if you have ever skipped lunch and felt surprisingly fine around 3 in the afternoon, you have already felt it working. We will get back to exactly what that feeling actually is. But first, let us talk about the world that made that system necessary. For the first 2.5 million years of human existence, grocery stores did not exist. Obvious, yes. But think about what that actually means. There was no such thing as eating on a schedule. No 3 meals a day. No snack drawer at work. You ate when you found something, and sometimes you found nothing for days. A hunting party could go out after a herd, lose the trail, get rained on, and come back empty-handed. The gathering side of the equation was no more reliable. Seasons changed. Droughts happened. Some weeks the berries were just not there. The interesting thing, the thing that rewrites what most people assume about prehistoric life, is that researchers have found hunter-gatherers were not actually starving constantly. A 2014 study by J. Colette Burbesque and colleagues at the University of Roehampton, published in Biology Letters, looked at actual famine data across cultures and found that hunter-gatherers suffered from famine less often than early farming societies, less than farmers. The people we picture as hand-to-mouth survivalists were actually more food stable than the people who invented agriculture. Take a second with that. The cave dwellers were eating more reliably than the wheat farmers. The reason is mobility. When food ran out in one place, hunter-gatherers did something farming communities could not do. They left. They picked up and moved toward food. They were not tied to a field. They were not waiting for a harvest. You do this too. It is called moving to a new city for a better job, and your ancestors would completely understand the logic. But here is the catch. Even mobile, resourceful, experienced foragers had lean periods. An unusually cold season, a migration that moved the herd somewhere unexpected, 3 days of rain that made tracking impossible. And when those lean periods hit, the human body did not just crash, it switched gears. What happens inside you when you stop eating is one of the most elegant pieces of biological engineering that evolution ever produced, and it starts happening faster than you would ever guess. In the first 12 to 24 hours without food, your body burns through its glycogen stores. Glycogen is essentially your body's short-term energy bank, sugar packed into your liver and muscles for quick access. It runs out fast. And then, somewhere around hour 24, your metabolism does something remarkable. It flips a switch. It stops looking for glucose and starts melting fat. Not slowly, not reluctantly. It goes looking for your fat stores the way you go looking for snacks at midnight, with purpose and a plan. This process is called ketosis. And if you have ever heard that word in the context of a trendy diet, here is the thing those diet books quietly leave out. You were doing this long before any diet existed. Your ancestors were doing this every single winter, every hunting season that came up empty, every stretch of 3 or 4 days when the gathering yielded almost nothing. The switch to ketosis is not a hack or an optimization. It is the original setting. Your body treats fat not as something to avoid, but as a backup fuel tank that your ancestors had the good sense to stock up during the good times. The brain, which is the most energy-hungry organ you have, runs primarily on glucose. But here's the part that should genuinely surprise you. After about 3 to 4 days without food, your brain starts running on ketones instead. Ketones are molecules your liver produces from fat. By day 4, your brain is running about 30% on ketones. By day 7, that number is closer to 70%. This is why people who have fasted for several days do not report feeling dim and confused all the time. Some of them report the opposite, a strange clarity, a focus that feels almost alertness. Ancient humans who had not eaten for 3 days were not curled up useless. They were still out there tracking animals, still making decisions, still, presumably, complaining about it, which is also extremely human of them. And then it gets genuinely strange, because after all that, the human body left without food long enough goes after its own muscle. Once fat stores are seriously depleted, the body starts breaking down protein, muscle tissue. And this is where the system stops being elegant and starts being desperate. At this stage, vital organs begin to weaken. The immune system fades. The heart, which is made of muscle, becomes vulnerable. This phase was not a regular feature of ancient life for most people. It was the edge case. The thing that happened during true famine, prolonged catastrophe, deep winter in an unusually bad year. It was the warning system, built into a system that was already very good at not reaching that point. Here is the modern connection that should make you slightly uncomfortable. Every single time you hear someone describe intermittent fasting, the keto diet, or clean eating, they are describing a watered-down, voluntary, Instagram-friendly version of something ancient humans did every single season without choosing to. The influencer who tells you your body is in fat-burning mode after 16 hours without eating is technically correct. They are just missing the part where your ancestors did that without a ring light or a supplement sponsorship. You skip breakfast and call it a fasting protocol. Your ancestor from 50,000 years ago skipped breakfast because the hunt yesterday went badly and the tubers were not where anyone expected. You both entered mild ketosis by mid-afternoon. You both probably felt a little foggy around hour 18 and then oddly fine around hour 24. The difference is you had oat milk in the fridge the whole time. They did not. They stayed in that state for another 4 days. And then they found a herd, and they ate more than you have ever eaten at one sitting in your entire life, in one go, because they absolutely needed to refill that tank. This is what scientists call the feast-famine cycle, and it shaped your metabolism more than any single food choice you have ever made. It is why you can eat a massive holiday meal and find room for dessert even though you swore 15 minutes ago that you could not. That is your ancient wiring treating the feast as a survival event. Store it, all of it, right now. Which brings us back to you, lying on your back in the woods, day 3, worried. Your body, running the same software as the person who hunted mammoths 20,000 years ago, is not panicking. It is adapting. It has been doing this since before your species had a name for what it was doing. The hunger you feel is real. The discomfort is real. But the machinery underneath it, that is 40,000 years old, and it has seen worse. Much worse. It kept those people alive long enough to have children. Those children had children. And eventually, completely without planning to, they had you. Someone with a phone, a warm house, and the exact same metabolic survival system that kept an ancient human alive in a world where dinner was not guaranteed and the calendar said nothing except today. So the next time you are 16 hours into a day where you just forgot to eat and you feel that strange mix of foggy and fine, do not reach for your phone to find out what is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong. That is the oldest part of your biology saying hello. It has been waiting its whole life to be useful again. This video discusses anthropological and archaeological research for educational purposes. Modern hunter-gatherer observations are used as comparative models to understand ancient human behavior, not as definitive proof of how all ancient humans lived across different time periods and geographies.